stew complements, hoppers, and Grenada paper products. Manufacturers of Royal, Horizon, and Quick and Easy paper towels and napkins.
You can now send a gift card to your loved ones locally or internationally thanks to the food fair. Here's how it works. Click the gift card icon or banner. Customize your gift card by choosing from different templates, dollar amount, and personalized messages. You can also upload your personal design. Select Add to Cart and complete transaction. Allow relatives and friends to pick up an item or items at the food fair for the dollar value. Gift card. It's that easy.
We support you at every stage of your life.
For business,
For your education.
for your financial freedom.
For that new ride.
Upgrade your life with the Communal. Contact us today.
It will be a showdown between the Spice and the Reggae when the senior women's national team hosts Jamaica Reggae Girls on Sunday, February 20th at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium in the CONCACAF Women's Qualifiers. Road to Australia and New Zealand. Kickoff time 5 p.m. Get your early bird tickets now for just $20 at the GFA headquarters at the Queen's Bar. All COVID-19 protocols will be in full effect and patrons must be fully vaccinated to enter the venue. Grenada versus Jamaica CONCACAF Women's Qualifiers. Sunday, February 20th, 5 p.m. The Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Come, let's support the Spice Girls.
The Nawasa app brings the power of Nawasa's customer service experience to you. Instant, conversational, and smart. Easy access anywhere. Get bill balance, transaction history for up to 6 months, report a fault, link to websites, view payment centers, contact information, push notifications, and multi-tenant accounts, all in a secure login platform. Like a self-service concierge app, mobile.nawasa.gd gets you the support you need much faster. Available on both Android and iOS platforms. Mobile.nawasa.gd, your customer support companion. Nawasa, committed to meeting customers' needs.
Raise it high up the ladder, let we set it on fire. A little more calypso, forget the funk and the disco. A little more limbo, a little more shango. Kindly greasy pole, and we don't dance round the maple.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to We Culture. Yes, indeed. The usual Friday evening thing, you know what I mean? Everybody, well, we have to welcome everybody in the world because everybody in the world is tuned in at this time to We Culture. It's a pleasure to have you, our viewers on GBN Television 711, our viewers on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, and of course our listeners on K105 FM. It's a pleasure. We welcome you. Let's welcome the team. Doc, what happened, mate?
Well, I did with them. I'm pretty good, feeling good. We are here again this evening. We look like I have a real challenge. Yes, somebody want to send out some flowers, but let me greet the team. I didn't see the queen as yet. I don't know what is going on. I'm quite worried.
Yeah, they lock in the gate again. They lock the gate again.
Can't happen again, man.
But why you can happen again? Ask Scholar. Scholar, they lock the gate again.
No, they don't like the gate.
They don't like the gate. But you're supposed to agree with everything I say, though. What can be about that?
You don't get me to sing Miss Dolly's all in that. They like the gate. But as usual, she get tied up in the road.
Yeah. But any road open? And the road open?
I don't know. Open or close, she get tired,
All right.
She excuse.
Yeah, well, this evening we have a very, very important issue to discuss, folks. And we're going to be going to it in a little while, but Doc had to send any flowers first. Bouquet?
Yes, and this one.
Before Doc send any flowers, Doc, I'll find you could send your shot this tonight.
Yeah, bad shot. A real bad shot.
Flowers, boy. Doc, I'll send you a shot.
Color, you just different color. You ain't behind now. You ain't behind now.
Let me tell you something, Doc. If you're outside now, B following you.
B is not only B, and Stu, you know.
I look like hibiscus.
Let me give Doc some flowers. You have a bad shot tonight.
A real bad shot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. But let me go say, and I want some corals because this one is for a special lady. Her name is Judy Williams, hail from St. John's. I call my sister Ann Peters and ask about Judy Williams, and her comment basically said that everybody she know in Grenada, this woman exhibits the strongest sense of community development. She has spent almost all her life trying to help. I don't really like to use that term, but the poor and vulnerable. She has spent all her life trying to help Grenadian children to break through the barriers of poverty. And at first there was this institution named Hopal, and it was Judy Williams that saw the need to, in a sense, reconfigure that organization, and eventually it emerged to New Law. And today, New Law has served us pretty well in terms of some of the persons that dropped off from the regular academic focus school, and they were able to learn skills. Some persons that dropped off for other reasons, harassment, etc., pregnancy, they were able to continue again in New Law. So that was one of the vision envisaged by Judy Williams. So then she eventually became the General Secretary of Grencoda. And Grencoda have been going on now for more than over 25 years. So just want to send flowers, and I hope you listen. But if anybody close, let them know that we culture send some flowers and really express our heartfelt thanks for the life of Judy Williams, Ms. Judy Williams, for all the contribution and hard work she has done for Grenada. You have made Grenada a lot better because of the sacrifices you have made for all of us, including me, from where I stand. So thank you, Ms. Williams, for your service.
Yes, indeed. Doc, while we're on that, I just also want to extend and give flowers to sympathy to the family of a very good friend of mine who suddenly passed away on Wednesday night. It was a real difficult 2 days for me because just Sunday I visited him in Mamacan, and we sat, we chat, and we had a plan to go to the mountain this Sunday to look for some tongue and bean tree and some of those indigenous trees. And I messaged him on Wednesday afternoon, I saw the message was read, but I didn't hear from him, and Thursday morning I got a call saying that he came from work and he passed. He was a excellent sportsman, cricketer, one top batsman around. He was a top contractor. He's been involved in so much. In fact, he's the kind of guy, there are some people who just can't say no. You ask them to do something and they're so inclined to help, they can't say no. He was someone like that, And he passed suddenly, and so much people in his area and who knew him are in mourning. Wayne Celestine, dear friend of mine, he was also a avid listener of the program, always on. And Scholar, he was also a Kaiso fanatic,
Right.
Many times we would argue and discuss the Kaiso, especially around the March Gras. So he will be missed by many, and so I extend sympathy to his family and the entire community of Mamacan this evening. So that being said, we await the Queen. She did say she was going to be a little late. She got held up, so she will be joining us shortly. And folks, tonight we want to touch on a very serious issue. There are a lot of things over the years and over time that has become part of our culture. A lot of times we're not sure how it started or why it started or why it is happening, but it is happening, and so just falls in line and it becomes part of the way we do things. And tonight we want to look at the issue of pregnancy among, of course, our young girls in school, and the fact that once that happens, they would have to leave the school system. We knew of PAM, which was put in place for that. Only today someone told me that they're not sure whether PAM is in operation. I really don't know, but someone told me so. In fact, they said they drove up that area and it was just a building. Nothing was really happening there. So I don't know if it is because of COVID or whatever. But that issue over the years has been talked about a lot. And, there are many different sides to this, and listen, we want to look at it. We want to hear from you as well, get your feel on that, and we're going to discuss it. But I want to start with Scholar. The reason being, I don't want to say former. Once you're a teacher, you're always a teacher. So Finley, that issue maybe in some quarters is a vexing one. In other quarters, it's probably one that people feel very strongly about. You've taught for many years. I don't know if you've experienced that in your years of teaching, but if you did, or if you're familiar with the situation, how has it unfolded in your circles as a teacher?
All right. Even before I start, let me say, because that's the second time you have done that. You have said that I'm a former teacher, and then you say you don't want to thing. But you feel free to say that, because I'm a farmer and I'm a teacher. Don't bother yourself. Say it.
Right. All right.
That you go on and say that is a farmer. But I have farmer and a teacher. Farmer teacher.
So you're teaching farming then?
No.
That is farming.
A farmer teacher.
All right.
So it's okay. Farmer teacher. Godfrey, this is a very this is very topical, really. And as you would have correctly articulated, it's a cultural thing, because it's something that it's sort of like a basic assumption, really. It happens, and everybody learn it without even knowing why it is happening, or what are the justifications and so on for it. And if you think about it, I doubt that you will find a document anywhere that is written that says that once a schoolgirl becomes pregnant, she has to leave school. There's nothing there. But it is widely known and it's practiced. Once the young girl becomes pregnant, she's in school, she leaves, right? And there would be a number of reasons, basically, for that. And most of it a lot of it is steeped in culture, even religion, but it's still a cultural thing. because it has to do with the way we view motherhood, right? And there will also be issues related to gender and how we view gender, because there is conversely the issue of young boys getting girls pregnant, and the young boys are in school, but they are not asked to leave school, right? So and it's widely understood, it's widely accepted. But in my circle, Godfrey, and in my years as a teacher, and I can tell you that I don't know if it was in the 90s or maybe in the early 2000s, that raised its head prominently. PTA and ministers and all kind of things were involved. It was a situation at the Anglican high school. I remember that very well. And the PTA kicked up and because they wanted to infuse a young lady who was pregnant back into the school system, and they said, no way. And it became a national debate. And then it sort of died down, right? I know in my experience as a teacher and from my experience in McDonald College, because even when that was happening, we who taught in McDonald College, we were taken aback because it was something that we were practicing for years. Young ladies who were pregnant were allowed in McDonald College to continue their schooling. And we have several, many instances of that happening. And it was not disruptive. And it became sort of cultural, because institutions have their own culture. So it became sort of cultural in McDonald College. That just happened, right? Under the leadership of then Jim Alexander, the principal who you usually would hear me speak about. So it's something that has happened. We've known of it. As a matter of fact, I can give you an instance. There was an instance when there was a Form 5er who was pregnant. She went down to make, she had the baby. And she had the baby denied. And she had English, the famous English exam, CXC, the morning. And we had to go for and bring her up, write her English exam, and then bring her back down in the hospital, right? And she passed the English exam, and she did well at CXC. So in my experience, we have had a history of dealing with it, but we understand, and I understand well, that it is not just cut and dry and easy in other institutions, and the Anglican high school instance that I gave you. It sort of encapsulates really how this thing is viewed culturally in Greenwood. So I'll stop here and maybe let Doc jump in, and then we'll
definitely Doc, your take on this.
Well, my take, I think Scott and I would have a part of departure in terms of whether it's cultural. I see it more as a social issue. And the idea of when a young person gets pregnant and they are asked to leave, I believe that also started mainly because society, but in particular the church, thought it was best that there should be a world for children and a world for adults. And in the thinking of the church, that pregnancy is for the adult world, not for this in school. And so a lot of issues were raised as it relates to that. Teachers in religious schools, particular, my main point of reference in the Catholic run schools. At one time, if a teacher was pregnant, a female teacher got pregnant and was not married, that teacher had to make a choice, but most likely leave the school, leave the profession. So I am saying that to say that it was also felt that if a teacher would have to submit her employment, the same goes for children. or young women that got pregnant. I had a conversation with someone that it relates to that, and they were saying, they asked some very pertinent question. What is the example are you going to be setting? What is the message are you going to be setting if you allow a pregnant young woman or young lady to come and sit among the children, the other children? Are you saying it is okay to be all there, particularly when most of the time the children or the young lady is underage, and you cannot really give consent with that age group? So that's where there are a lot of issues. Apart from that, there are other issues that it is not a very, as Carlos said, cut and dry. It is extremely complicated, because the other thing is, while we are able to identify the young lady because her belly is showing, the other question is, what happened to the young man or the young man that's supposed to be the father? So that is our next one. Education is a right, and I believe it is important that we sit like that. That every child must be given an opportunity to be educated. On the other hand, should we allow a series of exemptions to somebody that probably get pregnant and would not be able to take part in other activities in the school because they have that special condition? And that special condition, not because they were physically challenged, but that special condition was brought on by an action that they took. You know, if somebody say you're born blind, or you had one foot, etc., or something to that effect, then the question is, or the reason is, should we make allocation to accommodate that person? But now with somebody that whose action mean that the special allocation must be made, so special consideration. And pregnancy by itself is actually challenging for some people. So is the school again equipped to deal with pregnancy that might be troublesome? So there are a lot of issues to be brought on the table. I really cannot say. If scholar mentioned that, you know, it happened in college, and as far as it concerns smooth sailing, maybe that is a thought, that is something that it should be considered. The other option that was offered on the national level was that child probably should continue that education, but maybe continue after, or maybe continue in PAM. I really not here or there, and I really cannot be giving anything conclusive, but there are a lot of issues that come up in terms of that situation. And I believe it is perpetuated mainly because of how the church, and not so sure it is just a cultural issue. I think how the church, and maybe how we look at it from a sociological point of view rather than a cultural point of view, because I believe that concern is raised throughout the world, and not had to be addressed throughout the world in the same way, and not just not from us.
Godfrey, before you go on, let me just say that something being a social issue doesn't prevent it from being culture. Yeah. It does not. It's
but
not.
Mutual, I would say culture has to be.
Hold on. It's not mutually exclusive, right?
Yeah.
So let's get our straight. Because let me tell you something. I can assure you. Mutually exclusive, right? Yeah. So let's get our straight. Because let me tell you something. I can assure you. As we see coming.
Yeah, no, I saw it. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
She coming. Something wrong with that value?
Yeah, I think she, yeah.
You see coming, she back with.
Hold on. What is it? Reece come with Shibaku?
Yeah.
What do you mean she come with Shibaku?
So you see Zabaku then?
I didn't tell you that. You not say that.
Hold on. Before
you continue, we have to welcome the
Good night, Queen. These guys are even have no etiquette. Good night, Queen.
Hold on. We must not give Queen. No. We must finish what we're saying before we think. Don't give you no specialist treatment here tonight. So let me finish what I'm saying, and then you go come and nice up your lady and thing with your pretty short. That your business. So what I was saying to Doc is that I can bet Doc any money that no girl becomes pregnant and any teacher or principal or something or any authority comes and tell her, you're pregnant, you have to go home. She knows that. She knows that it is something that she don't learn. Because for one, it's a kind of stigma, it's a kind of thing. And I have made also the point, you ain't seen that right now. Look at the Education Act, look at whatever. It's not written anywhere. Right? But it's something that we have taken for granted, and it may be that it pertains or it obtains in other places. But it doesn't mean that we can't share cultural orientations with other places. And this is something that is culture. It's the way of life. It's how we live. It's how we do things. That is just what happens. And this is just how we think about the thing. And there are different ways, different reasons why. And of course, as you said, the church and religion, of course, is one. But you can't divorce religion and church and thing from culture. This is a major part of culture. So what we're discussing here is culture. And that's what I want to contend. Good night, Reece. Go on.
Y'all can actually hear me because
we hear you well. We hear you well.
Y'all heard me? Oh, great. Yeah. Because I'm y'all are frozen for me. I guess the river company is continuing to embarrass me. It's a year and months now, and I'm counting. The service have not changed. Anyways, I want to say good night to everyone, and I think I owe everyone an explanation. I had some work to complete at the office before coming home, so my apologies for my lateness. But I couldn't miss this topic. It's a heavy topic, but it's a good topic. It's something that we need to discuss because it's important for us to have the discussion to help stimulate change. And just by my statement, you know where I'm leaning. I think that women in particular, young girls, female gender, has always gotten the brunt of society in everything, in every way. Our sons go to jail and it's our fault. Everything that happens, it's our fault. We feel the brunt of it. And even in the case of teenage pregnancies, it is not a one-man show here. It is something that would have arisen due to a male and a female. But yet for all, when the repercussion steps in, you find that the women are the one who feels the brunt. And I know of classic cases where the boys got to continue school and the girls, as Scholar alluded to, nobody had to tell her that she had to go home. She knows she had to go home. If she is able to hide her pregnancy throughout the duration, the term, then there were factors that would have pertained to that. But generally, once you start showing and everybody realizes there's something wrong with you, you had to go home. And that is how unfair society is. But while I was trying to log on, a gentleman called me and he was explaining to me that during the time of the revolution, there was a girl in particular, well, a boy and a girl who became pregnant, who had a pregnancy. They were going to the same school. I don't know if you want to call the name of the school, but it's a school on the western side of the country. And both of them went to that school. They had a pregnancy. And the revolution ensured that after she had the baby, she went back to school. The boy got to continue school, but she got to continue school after. So that to me was progressive leadership happening right there. I am aware of stories again, higher up the western side, where people who girls who became pregnant, they got a chance to go back to school. So this is not new. I know of one in particular who returned to become a teacher of the school that she attended. And so it is not new. And it is something that I believe to try to get rid of that stigma attached and to quit from having young girls continue to be what we call failures for the rest of their life because of that circumstance. I believe that we need to have the discussion and talk about it so that changes can happen, because girls generally go down a road once that happens to them because of how society treats them, because of how the institutions deal with them, and the stigmas that they have to deal with for the rest of their life, and hope that it doesn't transfer to their children.
Right.
That's my thinking.
So before I comment, let's just take the break quickly, and then we're gonna come back and I'll share my little 2 cents, and then we'll continue the discussion. So we'll be back in a moment, folks. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.
You can now send a gift card to your loved ones locally or internationally thanks to the food fair. Here's how it works. Click the gift card icon or banner. Customize your gift card by choosing from different templates, dollar amount, and personalized messages. You can also upload your personal design. Select Add to Cart and complete transaction. Allow relatives and friends to pick up an item or items at the food fair for the dollar value. Gift card. It's that easy.
Have you heard about the new Soft-Weave bathroom tissue with total hygiene? As hygiene and safety have taken center stage, our bathroom tissue is now manufactured with 3 different technologies to offer the best protection for you and your family. UVC light technology for a safe and effective disinfection process, eliminating 99.9% of microorganisms. Also, production at high temperatures, killing all types of germs and bacteria. And it's pH controlled with delicate fibers to prevent irritation for even sensitive skin. Soft-Weave Total Hygiene Bathroom Tissue. Available in supermarkets and shops island-wide. Visit Soft-Weave Caribbean Facebook or Instagram pages for more information.
When a loved one passes on, we all need the comfort, support, and guidance of a trusted friend. You can rely on LaCour Brothers Funeral Home. We provide a personalized professional service that exceeds all expectations. Our dedicated staff responds to your every need with the greatest detail, ensuring affordability with a variety of options. Our upgraded state-of-the-art facilities, spacious air-conditioned chapel with live internet streaming, a modern, environmentally safe crematorium, the only of its kind on island, private viewing spaces, large on-site repast center, a modern transportation fleet. Join our burial society today and make personalized arrangements for that final moment. As you prepare to enter your loved one into eternal rest, visit or call LaCour Brothers Funeral Home and select a package that brings added comfort to the entire family. LaCour Brothers Funeral Home and Burial Society, continuing a tradition of excellence.
Level of convenience and comfort awaits you when you shop at Rise and Shine Supermarket and Hardware Supplies, Griffin Lane, Grenville. Convenient, because we are open Sunday to Sunday. We're even at your service on public holidays. Comfort, because we are easily accessible to the physically challenged. Free Wi-Fi is available while you shop, and bags come at no charge. Everyday low prices and excellent customer care. Adequate parking available. We supply everything you can possibly think of. Family and home supplies, fresh meat, vegetables, and personal care products. All brands of cooking gas at affordable prices. You can send in your order, have it pulled, or pick up express.
If there was ever a time to keep and stay healthy, it's now. We at Hills and Valley are here to help you take deliberate steps to maintain your health. We stayed true to maintaining the most comprehensive rates while stocking the widest range of medicines and health devices, including personal protective equipment. There are so many benefits shopping with us. You get great savings through discounts for senior citizens and reward cards for loyal customers. Ask about owning yours today. Visit us at Halifax and Grenville Street, St. George, Jubilee Street opposite the Grenville Bus Terminal, and at Hillsborough, Carrico. Our wholesale distribution on Halifax Street also stocks the widest range of pharmaceuticals. We are with you on the hills and in the valleys. We are Hills and Valley Pharmacy.
Get ready for a season of Grooving Smooth and Live on GBN. Grooving Smooth and Live is a 1-hour performance gig every Thursday from 8 p.m. featuring performances from our local musicians and short interviews discussing all things musical. Every Thursday, a different musician and a different instrument will be featured, from the violin to the saxophone to the trumpet, guitar, and steel pan. Our local musicians playing, improvising, and educating us on all genres of music. Join GBN with host musicians Matthias and Shireen, and a special guest every Thursday at 8 p.m. It's Grooving Smooth and Live on GBN.
Raise it high up the ladder, let we set it on fire. A little more calypso, forget the funk and the disco.
Welcome back, folks. It's We Culture, and this evening we're discussing a very topical issue, the issue of the whole thing of girls who are in school who become pregnant, and because of the way we operate as a people, they automatically leave the school system, and that can be problematic. But before I continue, Finley.
Yeah, I just wanted to say two little things based on what Reece's expatiations. Firstly, we're speaking about girls and pregnancy and so on, which is a tiny kind of topic. So here she talking tonight about thing on the western side and all this kind. She don't talk about Guam, you know. No, tonight on the western side. Of the western side and all this kind of thing. Where is the lower
you
western?
You go ahead and juke and take it all the bit.
Higher of the western side and lower of the western side.
Yeah, go ahead, the other one.
The second one.
I'll take it on a bit. Yeah.
The second one, in terms of boys who get girls pregnant and they continue in school, there is a saying, Reece, that children are women children. Children are women children. For you to actually be sure, although there is a cultural orientation in Grenada here where everybody know a child father, you're doing DNA test with the eye. Yeah, with DNA test for years we have been doing DNA tests, but it's with the eyes. But there is a saying that you're sure that a child is a mother's one, but you ain't sure he's a father unless you do DNA and so maybe that's why you might have to prove that the boy is actually the father. And I don't know how you're doing that while the child, I guess you have some high science thing, I don't know. But I know how you will do that. So probably that's why, being devil's advocate, probably that's why the boy is allowed to continue. Because it's very tough to pull a boy and say, all right, even though the girl say, it's your child, but there is no conclusive proof. If you understand what I'm saying.
Well, actually, that was one of the points I was going to raise. Because how do you tell a young man, look, well, you the father and you have to leave school, and the young man say, no, I'm not the father. So I was going to raise that, but you have preempted me, so that issue is out there. I want to talk a little bit about first what Doc mentioned about the church and the church's role, but because you see, and I agree with him, but I find there is so much hypocrisy in that, you know, where the church is concerned, and you know, the issue of, you know, a girl getting pregnant, having to leave school or anything like that. Because are we from the church's perspective, are we categorizing sin here? What is the difference between a girl having a child? And I'm taking it from the church's perspective. What is the difference between a girl, a young girl having a child, and a young girl having sex outside of marriage?
There's no proof of that one, Godfrey. It's harder to prove that someone is having sex outside of marriage, but the pregnancy is the ultimate proof. So that is what is seen, and that is the evidence.
But let me tell you something. Where the church is concerned, you don't have to have proof in the sight of God. The church tell you God could see. What they can see, God seen. What they can see, God seen, so you can't hide from God. And that is the base. That is the foundation of the church teaching. Because you accept God, you accept the teaching, you accept everything by faith. Yeah. And my you see, my biggest issue with this whole thing is the total breakdown in the teaching of family life values in schools. Now I remember in Tivoli school, every time after break, the priest used to come down and teach and have a class. How does the school curriculum presently cater for family life education and teaching children what can happen as a result of getting involved in sex, you know, at that young age, and if what happens, for example, in the case of pregnancy, the responsibilities, I mean, is that taught? Are they made to understand these things well enough?
Godfrey, usually I would like to bash the church, but this time I'm not so sure I'm on the same page with you. Reason being,
I am not bashing the church. I'm just saying I find this people.
No, I say usually I would like to, but this time I'm not so sure, because the church is teaching family life, and the church has an institution that they are running as a school. Then the question is, do you sacrifice the doctrine, the teaching, to accommodate that one individual? Or do you try to enforce or ensure that the teaching of the church, that children should be children and you should not have sex out of marriage, or you should not have sex even as a child? So to me, the church is there. I don't see the contradiction.
But my question to you, Livingston, would be, what determines who is a child and who is an adult? Is it pregnancy? Is it age? It is how tall you are or how fat you are? Or whether the young girl have a breast or she don't have a breast?
No, the laws of the nation, 16 is the age of consent, yeah?
Uh-huh.
You have to be 16.
Right.
Anything under that is basically a child. But also, I think what is conventional is that we accept once you are in school, particularly in secondary school, that you are a child. And so the church want to make, for me, I believe the reason is that once you are in school, you want to ensure that you do not, in a sense, pollute the minds of others, to give them, I'm just using that loosely, people. You do not want to give others that mindset that if Jane gets away with that, then Lucy could get away with that also. So what it did was to ensure that they punished Jane so that Lucy would recognize that it is better to pursue her career rather than going outside there. So to me, they're trying to put a deterrent. Yeah? A deterrent. Yes, thanks. A deterrent.
Yeah, but why deterrent?
But wait, let's find that out. Let's find that out. The other thing to Godfrey, and the whole question is, if the girl get pregnant and you get the girl out of school, what happened to the boy? Now, you as a boy, would you accept getting a child pregnant? Even if you were the one. Now, the laws of the land mean that you can go to jail. A woman can have sex with a guy, maybe she would approach him, but the woman doesn't go to jail, except you show that it is, forced. But the guy can go to jail.
Not if he's under 16.
Okay. All right.
Because if you see, the thing is, if it's over 16, then it is abuse. Someone has abused that under 16-year-old girl.
Oh, matter of fact, in our law, it is considered to be rape because the child cannot give consent. So you have sex without consent.
But you have 2 children.
No,
because they're both under 16.
No, I'm saying if one is 17 or 18 and the other one is 15, the girl that is 15, the guy is actually, he has raped the girl. It's on the laws of the land.
Yes, of course. I agree with that. I agree with that.
He had sex without consent.
Yeah,
so,
okay, finish. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying, in terms of we grew up with this old adage, one bad apple spoil the whole crop. And so I'm seeing it from that reasoning. Now, I believe as we progress, and so is knowledge, we have to make accommodation to accommodate everybody. If education is a right, we have to find a way to allow that child to continue her education. I believe that firmly. But I also understand where the church was coming from, or where society was coming from, to put a lead on, because you wanted to create that family life start with full consent, you reach a certain age of maturity, you plan where you're going. And to me, that is what society wants all of us to do. Establish a relationship, and that relationship must be a committed one, where then, well, should be married, and then you start having children. I think that is what society wanted all of us to follow.
Finley?
Listening on that, I expatiate. But listen to me. There, as time becomes more modernized, there are new waves and new fads and so on that are coming in, and there is this new discrimination wave that is hitting the world. I mean, you could discriminate against all kind of things, discrimination against gays, LGBTQ, discrimination against disability, discrimination against black man, discrimination against, you have discrimination, you could just, anything. I mean, that could discriminate against me, I could discriminate against Mike, against that. I could discriminate against that because if I say watermelon something, I could discriminate against you. So it can be looked at from that broad sense, you're discriminating against a young lady because there's nothing different. The only difference is that she's pregnant and all of those things can come before, but the truth is that what Doc is saying and what you are saying, and this is why this is not just clear-cut, because the points that both of you are raising are very strong points that a lot of people hold here. And you would find, as you because we have not taken any Facebook contributors or anything yet, I am betting that people would be torn as it relates to this, and people would have they would argue this and would have the justification for whatever side that they take, and the justifications that they would use are basically the ones that Doc is using, or that you are using, that children you have to separate children, or you don't want one bad apple to spoil the whole lot, or that you don't want to do this because somebody else will learn and believe that it is okay to do it, or how is it that you know, I was speaking with a lady. She usually calls on the program and she asked me what we were dealing with tonight. And when I told her, her instant reaction was, no. Let her go in pump. Let her go in pump. No. We don't want children in school and they breast licking milk and all this. Go by.
You see, hold on, listen. My contention is the issue of saying, you see, and the whole issue about a child and an adult, and because a 15-year-old gets pregnant while in school, then all of a sudden she becomes an adult, and I don't buy that. I don't buy that. And that is the hypocrisy I'm talking about. A child is a child. If you're going to tell me otherwise, then you need to also say to me, where do we draw the line as it relates to a child and an adult? If it's age, then a 15-year-old who is pregnant in school is still a child. And if she is still a child, then she's entitled to her education. And so, at that stage, we need to find a way to ensure. Now, mind you, I in some way believe that a young girl who becomes pregnant in school, the situation should be looked at, because of course, and I think we would all agree that pregnancy brings with it some levels of complication. Maybe some people don't have none at all, some people do. And if Reece made the point, sometimes they do hide it. I know of situations where there are girls who got pregnant in school, and people got to know only when she ready to make a child.
I don't want to put the umbilical cord after she come from school.
No, you hear about these stories. No.
Yeah.
You see,
Godfrey, I will want you to open the line and to think thing.
Well, no, I will.
You know, you're fighting up with this thing about child. What child is child still? You have force right, you know.
Yeah. Force right what? Force right what?
Right now, man, it's same right.
Yeah, but force right what? Force right what? A force right child is a force right child.
Not force right child.
A force right child.
A child is a child.
Whether it's force ripe or well ripe or half green or whatever, unless, as far as I'm concerned, unless they reach the age of adulthood.
No. The operating word, no. Are you tying up the thing? The operating word here is right. Not child. Forget about child.
Is right. Right. Okay.
Post right or normal right is right.
All right. I'll tell you what.
Right.
Let you know what? It is.
Let me hear from Facebook now.
Yeah, but okay. So Reece, let's take the Facebook comments, and then I will take the final break, and I will open the line so people can have this.
Forget about hills.
No problem. So on Facebook, good evening, everybody. The young lady will leave school because she's shamed, but the boys remain and playing man. That's from Ingrid. But the culture have a lot to do with it. Cynthia is saying culture and stigma attached to it. We have Cynthia saying not only Catholic schools, all schools do that to the young ladies. That's from Ingrid. Carl Thompson is saying you have a serious problem in Grenada where young girls are sexually exploited, then ostracized after taken advantage of by older men. We also have Cynthia is saying automatically we think once pregnant we have to leave school. Joan is saying, I think PAM was a good idea. After the baby was born, the young lady should get another chance to education if she have the interest to continue. And Ingrid is saying the blame always on the girls, but not the boys. The system needs to be changed and let ladies continue with the education. Cynthia again is saying having a baby at a young age should be no reason for her to give up her education. If not accepted back at school, there should be somewhere she can continue. David is saying, hello, good night. We culture another serious topic tonight. What needs to be done is the upgrading of PAM. And I don't know if with all the internet problems that I've lost some comments, but that is what I've seen on the GBN platform. There's nothing on the We Culture on the GBN YouTube page.
Okay, Reece, I'm seeing a few more. Let me see if I could just pull them up.
Go ahead and read it.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull them up. Okay, so after Zavid Seal, someone says the church teaches whatever. In other words, what they're saying is that what the church teaches really doesn't cut it. I can't use the word that they've used. Someone says some parents do not want their children to be taught family life in school, so it could be a problem there. Also, not now. That was a long time. They teach family life now, and social media make them know everything. Someone says don't expect the church to raise your child. Again, someone says it's ironic that right now grade 8s become home forms for parents to sign, giving permission to children to be taught. Someone else says the culture demonizes the girl. She did not impregnate herself. And someone is just saying good night everyone. So that's the rest of the Facebook comments.
I've seen them now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There is on the WhatsApp platform, good night Godfrey, there are schoolgirls from prominent persons, as we call them in society, whose daughter got pregnant in school and the parents send them abroad to have the baby and return to school as normal. That is an issue I had planned to raise, because what about those who are not in a position to get the money to go away? What happened to the education? What happened to the opportunity to learn? So let's take that final break, and when we come back, we'll open the telephone line and we'll have some more discussions on it. So stay with us, folks, for a final break.
Raise it high up the ladder. Let we set it on fire.
When you need your prescription filled or you require non-prescribed medication, supplements, or all your personal needs, visit Gittins Healthcare at locations on Wall Street, Grand Anse, Victoria Street, Granville, and Central Deputy Street, Wharf. Gittins Healthcare aims to provide an exceptional personalized pharmacy experience. Additionally, children under 5 and adults 55 years and over will enjoy 10% discount on purchases of $20 and over on prescription medication. Stop settling for less. Visit Gittins Healthcare, where your health is our priority.
It will be a showdown between the Spice and the Reggae when the senior women's national team hosts Jamaica Reggae Girls on Sunday, February 20th at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium in the CONCACAF Women's Qualifiers Road to Australia and New Zealand. Kickoff time 5 p.m. Get your early bird tickets now for just $20 at the GFA headquarters at the Queen's Bar. All COVID-19 protocols will be in full effect, and patrons must be fully vaccinated to enter the venue. Grenada versus Jamaica, CONCACAF Women's Qualifiers, Sunday, February 20th, 5 p.m. The Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Come, let's support the Spice Girls.
You can now send a gift card to your loved ones locally or internationally thanks to the food fair. Here's how it works. Click the gift card icon or banner. Customize your gift card by choosing from different templates, dollar amount, and personalized messages. You can also upload your personal design. Select Add to Cart and complete transaction. Allow relatives and friends to pick up an item or items at the food fair for the dollar value. Gift card. It's that easy.
Here is a little known fact. There is only one place in Grenada that you can get an MRI scan done. That place is Spice Imaging Center. Yes, Grenada, that's the truth. Other centers could offer you other scans, but Spice Imaging provides an authentic MRI scan. Here's another little known fact. Spice Imaging has 3 centers. We operate at Grenville, the Carnage, and at the Ocean House, Grand Anse. We provide the widest range of laboratory tests and services. CT scans, x-rays, mammograms, ultrasounds, and a host of other services. We are fully staffed by a team of family doctors and specialists. Call us today at 444-7679. or 406-1500, or visit any of our 3 locations. Spice Cell Imaging, from seeing the doctor to getting lab tests, scans, and pharmacy services. We are here to take care of you.
When a loved one passes on, we all need the comfort, support, and guidance of a trusted friend. You can rely on LaCour Brothers Funeral Home. We provide a personalized professional service that exceeds all expectations. Our dedicated staff responds to your every need with the greatest detail, ensuring affordability with a variety of options. Our upgraded state-of-the-art facilities, spacious air-conditioned chapel with live internet streaming, a modern, environmentally safe crematorium, the only of its kind on island, private viewing spaces, large on-site repast center, a modern transportation fleet. Join our burial society today and make personalized arrangements for that final moment. As you prepare to enter your loved one into eternal rest, visit or call LaCour Brothers Funeral Home and select a package that brings added comfort to the entire family. LaCour Brothers Funeral Home and Burial Society, continuing a tradition of excellence.
Raise it high up the ladder. Let we set it on fire. A little more calypso. Forget the fountain, the disco.
Welcome back, folks. Just before we open, someone shared some views. It says sexual abuse happens, and when a child gets pregnant, it's most likely that she was sexually abused. Getting pregnant is neither a sin nor a crime. Now, if someone abused her, she may not even have had a choice. Why is she punished? Also, if she was raped, she got pregnant, would society prefer if she had an abortion? Fellas?
Points. I find that those are some strong points there. I always say that poverty never stopped procreation, 1. And 2, a child is a gift. You know, as much as the circumstances around it might be a bit dire, or in the moment it is bleak, it stops certain things. But at the end of the day, I mean, I hardly know anybody who regrets having their child. They might regret having the child at the time that they had the child, but they don't regret their child. They love their child. Even the grandparents who would behave bad and want to kick off and do all kind of thing.
Reece, just as an aside, in the news tonight, the police found a baby on their house in Carriacou, abandoned.
Yeah, and I heard about that today, and I was like, you know, if I was in a different situation, I would have loved to have that child. Yeah.
Doc.
You could take a child.
Doc, you know what Reece said?
You are that?
Anyway, guys, let's go to the telephone. It's been going a while now. Let's go to the telephone. We Culture. Good evening. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen and lady. Godfrey.
Good evening.
Godfrey, that issue, teenage pregnancy, is something that burns me deeply. And let me tell you why it burns me deeply. We hear a lot of comments from different levels of the society, from different institutional standpoints. But listen something carefully and listen to what I have to say. Now, why is it that up to the age of 16, you're a child? Why you are a child? And what's supposed or should be taking place in the life of that individual up to the age of 16? Why it is legally at the age of 16 and above, you may be considered as a young adult or as an adult. In my view, under the age of 16, the society is supposed to prepare you for adulthood. And that comes in two forms, but collectively is preparation. Your academic training and possible life skill and talent training, which is education, preparation for adults or young adult and adult. Now, if during that period, under that process, has failed that individual, question number one, what is the socio-economic impact on the nation, collectively, and the individual in the future? Two, what is the impact of the failure of that individual to contribute to national growth and development? Three, does the nation have the resources to accept that liability for whatever number of years in its rippling effect of that individual? Godfrey, I could never accept and reason in a teenage pregnancy and that individual having their own way. Then education is not working. The preparatory stage and the process of preparation has been failed by the people who is charged with that responsibility to prepare that young individual. Godfrey, we must stop reacting to issues and face the root cause, then fix it and think forward. God bless all of us. Good night.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much indeed. Just one clarification. Someone made the point that, and I think we mentioned we were talking about the age and the age of a child is up to 18, not 16. 6 is the age of consent. But up to 18, that's a child. Above that, I guess you're a young adult.
But why is it that if you have to get married before 21, you have to get permission from your parents?
Yeah, that's how the thing go.
We're confused.
Yeah, let's go back to the telephone. We Culture, good evening.
Good night to Godfrey and your team.
Good night.
I am very much, amused by the ideas that have been floated about by this discussion tonight. But if I should say, Mr. Marshall speaking here, and I love to talk nonsense, you know. Now, in Grenada, our history shows that schools were established mainly by churches. A vast number of schools in the beginning were denominational schools, predominantly Catholic schools and some Anglican schools. Now, religious education was a compulsory part of the school curriculum in those early days. I think you may agree to that. Now, whereas the state might have emphasized more on the academic education of this curriculum, the church seemed to put in what is called the moral religious part of the curriculum. And it was compulsory every day. In denominational school, there was a half an hour put aside for religious education. Now, in the religious education programs, emphasis was placed very heavily on, was it the 6th commandment? I don't sure now. Anyway, thou shalt not commit adultery. And there was an attendant one, if it's not adultery, it might be fornication. And so children grew up and the parents grew up, well, looking at sex as something very undesirable outside of marriage. As a consequence, if a female teacher became pregnant in a denominational school, the chief would have felt guilty and condemned herself and may be made, not even told to leave, but she may just leave the teaching because of shame. In some instances, after the birth and the child is growing up, that same female teacher may return as a member of staff. Most cases in another school, not in the same school. Another problem is denominational schools, primary, the school living age was not 12 and 13 years. It was 16 years. I remember when I started teaching in the year 1961, there were students in school 17, 18, and even 19 years. But the school living was a major certificate for exiting the primary school. Now, it is also known that because of the few instances of common entrance passes, most of the children would have finished their education in the primary school. It's just because of the common entrance, the transfer, the continuation through government's common entrance assistance, you get a host of people who enter the secondary school. So from primary to secondary. So the primary school population has dropped and the secondary school population has increased. But there was another major problem too. In the primary school and secondary schools too, male teachers being sexually attracted to and succumbing to the sexual impulse by exploiting many female students. I have had to deal with cases where male teachers got female students pregnant. Okay? And we must bear in mind, I don't know if it is injustice or it is inequality. But nature has handed down what is called a kind of sexual inequality. Childbearing, as far as we know it, even in this modern time, belongs to the female side of the species. That seems to be inescapable. I don't know if nature was wrong to do it so, or nature should have made it in such a way that both man and woman would have to bear. But no, nature assigned that task to the female of the species. And so that's an inequality we cannot get over. However, because religious education in churches seem to play a very important part in the belief and feelings of morality of most of the population, when a girl gets pregnant and is unmarried, that girl is seen as an outcast. This is how I saw it. In fact, Godfrey, I don't want to tell the nation my problem. When I started teaching, I was in love with a student, with a teacher who was a pupil teacher, a nice young girl. when she got into problem, I became the best friend of a Polish doctor, because I have to guide myself and guide her. And it could have happened to many things. And I know instances where male teachers had to save themselves from their interference with female students. So it is inescapable. I cannot say it is injustice. I don't know. It's just how the culture handles the situation. It is a sticky situation. I think some people may say it's unfair to the female. Yes, but that's how it is. And I don't know what to say. I have so much to say. So let me give somebody else a chance to talk.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Mr. Marshall. And someone just added that, in fact, they're saying, to add to Mr. Marshall's comment, the purpose of education in those days was to create an obedient workforce, not a thriving population. The physical difference in childbearing is not a reason for unequal treatment. 435-2041, that's the number you can call. And of course, you can share your views. Reece, we have any more comments on Facebook?
Yes, we have Carl Thompson saying we are conditioned by religion and the Bible to treat women as second class. Hence the reason to cause the woman to suffer the consequences of her pregnancy, when in most cases it was initiated by the male. Daviela is saying, good night, everyone. I would like to say that the program for adolescent mothers, which is PAM, is still on the ball. It helps young girls to get an education from what they miss from their former secondary school. It is a second chance in life to get an opportunity to fulfill their needs and their goals and career. Cynthia is saying, I guess parents could be ashamed, thinking they have failed in their responsibility of being a parent, sending them away to have the babies, trying to protect the girls from the public, who we all know will have a lot to say. And that's what I'm seeing here. Yeah.
In some cases, is it really trying to protect the girls or protect themselves from what the public may say about them as parents?
I think it's both. I think it's both, but it's more on the parent side.
Mm-hmm. Let's go back to the
It's depending on the family name.
Let's go back to the telephone. We Culture, good evening. Hello. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes. Can you turn the volume of your radio or TV down a bit?
Yes, I'll do that.
Okay.
Yes, you know the voice here. We see you know the voice very well.
Oh, my principal.
I haven't been on the program a long time, and I just got caught in late. But you have a topic there discussing that is one of my favorite topics, because I have had occasion to deal with this. Now, if I remember correctly, even it was a rule of the public service, civil service as it was called then, that again, even young workers in the civil service, unmarried, if they became pregnant, they lost their jobs. This was from way back then. Then you always had the problem again. In those days, I too began teaching at a time when GBSS had the A-level students in, and some A-level students, well, in those days was HSC, and so were all 19, 18, 20 years in school. Big men, and of course some of them got some of the girls pregnant, but they remained in school. They were allowed to continue school, nobody business with the men, and the girls had to leave school. Personal experience at high school. As you were saying, the schools are denominational and they have their own rules. And years ago, it was again the only GBSS secondary school that you didn't have to pay fees because it was a government school, and the little fees went to the government and they controlled. All the other denominational schools charged their school fees, and they had their rules and regulations. So again, as you said, because of religious reasons, but of course you didn't have, pregnant people, the girls in school and so on. Now the thing is, in those days, you didn't have a problem in that the parents, if their daughter became pregnant in school also, they did not send the child back to school. But now you have like confrontations, and this sort of thing. And I remember while I was in school as principal, there were parents, they were the ones that would inform me so-and-so is not coming back to school because there was an occasion where a child in Form 5, her mother had died. There were younger brothers and sisters. She became the mother in the house taking care of the little ones. And then she got pregnant in Form 5. We knew of the case. The child came, she spoke to me, and so on and so forth. We allowed that child, that is the staff and myself, after school hours, she would come in and the teachers would teach her and give her the lessons, and so that went on during the day. And then when it was time for exam, we allowed her to do her examination. She came to do the examination dressed in maternity dresses, but we allowed that. Again, it's like you examine each case and deal with it, on its merit and that sort of thing. Some people have the opinion, you're so hard-hearted and so on, but no, that was not the case. And, right about now, again, I had an occasion in school some years ago, I don't know if you all might remember about that, where it was like a personal confrontation when this thing came up about pregnant children being allowed to come back to school, and it was a whole big furor and things like that. And the problem was people were not willing again to listen to the story on all sides, and again the denominational school and how they felt about the whole thing and so on, and setting up a situation and starting something that could have long, far-reaching consequences. But again, it was just a few people, one or two people that had that sort of attitude. Child, they're allowed to come back to school and do. And you're trying to say, well, what is the influence on the other students in the school and that sort of thing? What are you trying to introduce and to produce, Some parents, most parents were totally against it, but you had on one or two, that's all. And this is where PAM came in. PAM was set up and instituted for just that purpose, to deal with the children who got pregnant in school. You bring them into one institution, they could have the babies there with them and so on. I remember making the point, it might sound stupid, but for mature people who know, what happened to you when you are in school, or you come back to school after having the baby? Then as a young mother, your breast starts to milk overflowing, that sort of thing. And the children in the school, your peers are the ones who will be teasing you and pointing fingers. Pregnant children in school, the little ones in Form 1, Form 2, they look the girl like the girl having it. You don't all this sort of thing. You have to think of all these things when you, bring them back to school and put them there. The problem is their peers, the friends around, and the discomfort. So, it's not just have pregnant children in school and this sort of thing. You have to be very careful how you handle these cases. And it takes a lot of discussion. And it's usually, again, the girls are the ones that are under this pressure and they are suffering and, this sort of thing. So you have to think carefully. That is all I will say at the moment. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Someone is saying here, good night. If the age of consent is 16, then we have big women and men going to school who is allowed to have sex. You won't see something wrong, or you won't see something is terribly wrong with our age of consent. This is a very contradictory system we have here in Grenada.
What it is?
By school children, that is how we categorize them. Whether they big, whether they tall, whether they are big, whether they are whatever they have, they're school children. You don't have no school big man. Well, he had. But was only when SAS used to go down in big old babe and sheet black. Godfrey and
who are you talking about, Scholar?
But you and Godfrey and them, all had big babe and sheet black and tall here. That was cool big man. Scholar.
If you're talking about man with babe, let me tell you, The last 4x4, and folks, we apologize. The last 4x4 we run in SAS. The man that started the 4x4 with me was from McDonald College, and I could not see his skin because all of his body was here. Babe, he had babe all over his body. So let's get back.
Really, because and if you could remember, how they used to call you?
Me?
Yeah.
Big Junior.
Big Junior?
Yeah.
Well, exactly. Why you believe? Let me tell you something. Even the last Intercal Stars win. The last Intercal Stars win. On Facebook, you see people were supporting GBSS and they vex GBSS get the tail cord. They say Stars had a young fella. Everywhere he win, he going in his stand and kiss his child. Anytime you win a race,
hold on, listen. Scholar, we have to deal with Intercall, so leave that alone, please. We go deal with that. But I want to pause it here. As it relates to PAM. Now, yes, PAM exists, but does it offer a full curriculum? Does it really serve the purpose that the young girls or the opportunities, can it fulfill that they were getting in the secondary school?
Godfrey, not only that, not only the curricular offerings, because I think they have a broad curricular program, broad enough. But
they're not science labs.
Well, that's the problem. In my experience of PAM has undergone a lot of difficulties over the years, administrative and otherwise. And so PAM has not been as effective as PAM could be or should be.
Right.
And I think this is a major issue. And probably that's why you maybe drive up there and you see PAM maybe closed. I don't know. But what is happening now? But I know even my time when I was permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education, there was a lot of issues.
Sorry, but for a moment there, when you say in my time, I thought you was in PAM, you know.
You're pregnant.
You see, you have to be careful with the English language. When you say, what I know in my time, and right away I say, and you never tell me you was in PAM? But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but you have to wait and I finish the statement as permanent secretary. So the truth is that I do not think that, well, you can't say that PAM has been failing. PAM has been trying its best, to put it that way. But much more can be done. And the question would then arise as to whether the girls, the interests, their interests are best served, really, or if something better cannot take place. And according to you and your posit and whatnot, I don't even want to posit anything. I want to say, because I have the experience. Because even what Mrs. Mason Francis was alluding to, right? I think that schools, you need to have a culture of this happening, and it's accepted. So there was nothing in McDonald College as it related to what we had to think about, what we didn't have to think about. Students did not discriminate against the girls. As a matter of fact,
they helped.
I can tell you.
They took care of them.
Yeah, they were very protective. And especially the young boys. The young boys were very protective of the young girls who are pregnant in school. Very, very protective of them. Right? These girls, they're in the school and them like queen, you know. They go in and get a lunch, they go in and get a break, they go in and they don't have to do nothing. They're writing their notes, they're doing everything. That's my experience. Right. So I I guess because it was cultural in McGraw College, nobody batted an eyelid really. And the girls assimilated, they completed their education, and that is the experience that everybody who went to McGraw College and taught at McGraw College, that's what they would tell you. That was my experience.
Okay, let's go back to the telephone. We Culture, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, caller.
And Mr. Godfrey and your team, good evening, and a very important program tonight. I don't usually call, but the whole idea about young girls who got pregnant in school, or pregnancy among young girls in school, this one is very dear to me. Because you see, I believe that society is very unfair to our young girls, especially when they become pregnant. Usually they are not made pregnant or gotten pregnant because of a relationship with a student. On many occasions, that pregnancy came about because of some adult, some senior person. Sometimes it could even be a stepfather. And what happened to that young girl? She's pregnant, she's thrown out of school, and because of sometimes the socio-economic background of this poor young girl, in the next 2 years she has another child, maybe not even 2, because her parents can't do the supporting. So she's thrown out from home. The society bash her, and the system castigated her, threw her out. So her whole life is now a misery. I see no reason why a young girl who got pregnant, getting pregnant is a natural thing, a natural result of sex. And the nature and the hormones are ripe at this time. And if she's not careful, and if she's not molested sometimes, she will not be pregnant. So when we throw her out of school, what are we doing to her? She already has the problems associated with a change in her whole body, and now her mind and the entire society against her. And somebody mentioned about the children. I support Scholar when he mentioned about the support that is given to the young girl by the students. The students accept them. The students see that as something natural. I was a principal at one time. And in 1 year, about 2 months after graduation, 3 of my girls gave birth. And I knew they were pregnant because they told me. And I made sure that they were not molested by anybody. Somebody came and told me, "Sir, you know that person pregnant?" I asked, "How do you know?" "Your doctor?" "And if they're pregnant, what happened? They are suffering from some communicable disease?" "They're not. Somebody got them pregnant." So I believe that we have to come to the understanding that these things would happen. And if we are talking about protecting our society, the young girl who becomes pregnant is also a member of society. We can say, okay, when she has the baby, let her go to PAM. When she has the baby, is she cut off from society? Why are we sending her somewhere else? Why are we creating a new institution to cater for, or to cater to the young girl who has a baby? She should be seen that she's accepted in society and given an opportunity to do well.
That's right.
I also served as the chief education officer at one time. And one of the things I did was to send them back to school. 8 of them. 8 of them went back to school. Only in one school, there were a lot of noise. And the poor girl had to leave because not the students attacked her, but the teachers. And the same school that talking about what examples are we showing to the children have teachers there who are not married and are pregnant. Who are they learning more from? The student, their own peers, or the person who's standing in front of them with a big belly teaching? I believe that we have to reach to the stage where we can put the systems in place. If it means giving us special attention, give it to her. If it means finding a place close to the school, build a classroom, and hire somebody to take care of her baby while she comes back to school. Because we might be throwing away the life of a very important person. And usually, the people who get in those situations are the poor, socio-economic deprived persons. Because the people who have the money take them, they go to Barbados to get the visa, they come back unpregnant. So if they don't have, then you create a society of the not having, bringing into the world more children who would go on to this dangerous situation. I don't believe that we are doing any justice to our society. And I know about the church and all that. And I believe in the morals of no sex before marriage. I believe in all of that, but it won't happen. People are going to do the thing. And usually, as I said, the young girls who get pregnant, are not by schoolboys. They get pregnant by elderly people, much older than them. And this is not in keeping with any progressive movement to throw them out. We need to take them back to school. Provide the support for them in school. We have guidance counselors there. They need guidance counseling. When you throw them out, where are they getting the guidance counseling from? Provide the guidance counseling. You have female teachers, talk to them, help them, so that they can have the baby. They come to school. What happens is the milk thing or the breast is something natural. The other girls must see what happens when you get pregnant. Just to close, I had a situation where a group of students from a particular school where I sent back a student came to see me because they were doing the SBAs and they wanted to do something about the ministry. And I asked them, why are you giving this particular student so much trouble? And they said, no, sir, it's not us. We understand the problems that she's going through. She has to leave the school and go and collect her baby wear and take the bus to go home and do her work and things. So it's a lot of work for her. Ask her, why is she so unhappy? So not us, it's the teachers. So it's not the student. The student accepts. If you send a child to school that has some impediments, you'd be surprised how much the children learn from that child and how much they protect that child. That's why I say I agree with Scholar. They protect the children. The children would protect the young people, would protect the people. Now, something. Do you know that the Education Act says that you can be in the primary school up till 12, before it was 16, and in the secondary school up till 21. But you reach the age of consent at 16. So what happens if you give consent at 16 and you get pregnant? Are you going to be divorced from the society? Are you not going to be still a member of the society? Why should we throw you out of an institution that you are paying tax to run? You pay tax to run that institution. So we can't do that. I said we must come to the situation quickly and get the student to remain in school and do their work in school. Thank you very much. I don't
Caller, don't go yet. Just want to ask one quick question. I hear everything that you've said makes a whole lot of sense. But we could have a situation where that kind of stigma would continue unless we have some sort of legislation in place. What's your take on that?
Well, you can put legislation. I don't know if it's going to change anything. It's not going to change anything. This has been happening in Grenada, you know. I can tell you of students who got pregnant as a young girl, made twins, and end up in the next secondary school. A young girl gave birth to a baby and ended up back in Heinze School. So you remember the primary school child. That was before I got into, just as I got into the ministry. And then in 2019, we got 8 children to go back to school. I had to face a lot of fire from the church, from the Principals Association, from the women's group, a lot of fire. But as the chief education officer, I was responsible for the admission of children. So I did not bow. And I think only 2 dropped out. The others did well.
Thank you very much.
About what people are going to say and what things, they'll say it until you make sure that it's there. You don't need more legislation. Legislation don't help. We need a change in our mind, change in our society, change in our thinking, change in our social understanding that every human being has a right to education. How can we say we have a right to education and then you deprive a young girl who has going through a natural process? You deny her the right to education. This is unfair. It's unfair to the society. And remember, usually they are not made pregnant by the students, by the children in school. Some big person outside who walk free. They are not charged. They are not sent to prison so that they cannot made to work to mind the child. So that poor young girl now has to have a baby. Her parents can't support her, and she has to go to find a next man to give her something. And what to give her is the next child. We're not helping. We have to help society to grow. And every child is a gift. How we got the gift might be a different story. But it has to protect society and our young people.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much indeed. We thank you for your contribution.
Livingston Nelson, you know who is that, eh?
Yes, we all know, caller. We all know who it is. We all know who it is. Thank you very much. All the best. Yes, indeed. All right, 435-204. Guys, any comments on the caller's contribution?
I couldn't agree with him anymore. He said it best. Those are my sentiments exactly. And I would add that, I would talk about Anglican High School where he alluded to children with disabilities and all of that. I have seen firsthand how is it that the children just come out and they support these kids that have the disabilities or whatever impediments, how they embrace them, they take care of them, they make sure that they get to their classes, everything. And I think it would be a similar experience. And we are not looking from the context of a child having been in that situation and back to school. What is the lesson she is bringing to the other students in the school to help make sure that they do not end up in that situation that she is in? So we're just looking at it from one angle, as if once a child who is pregnant or was pregnant is back in school, every other child is just going to go and feel what I should get pregnant to. No, I don't think so. I think it's counseling firsthand that they will be getting right there.
Okay, let's go back to the telephone. We Culture, good evening. Hello.
Good evening.
Yes, can you turn the volume of your radio or TV down? Listen to us on your telephone.
Will do.
Okay.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Okay, good night. I always listen to your program, and I feel obliged tonight to make a contribution. I just listened to the previous caller, and I must say that given his previous positions, I do not agree with him totally. And I think that is the reason why there is a breakdown in our society and in terms of moral. Yes, children can make mistakes, but I do not condone what he has said because children must be children. So I think the emphasis should be on moral standing and morality in schools rather than condoning teenage pregnancy, because that is what it adds up to. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant night.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much.
Godfrey, I have a comment. The caller just said that a child must be a child. Children must be children. And again, a child who got pregnant, is she no longer a child? Is she no longer a child? And once you go by the principle that a child is a child, no matter the circumstance, whether your foot is broken, you are hearing impaired, you are speech impaired, you tried drugs, whatever it is, you are still a child. And as a previous caller put it, how do we just ostracize them and just decide that we are going to just have them as castaways, that they cannot continue on the path of what a child is supposed to be? Why do we not get them back on track? Why do we not help them to get back on track?
Why?
You see, not to condone this, because let me tell you, you know what my position is. I have taught, as I said here, I have taught girls donkey years who are pregnant, and as I said, I was involved in going down in hospital, girls who go on just give birth and go back. So my position really and truly is clear as it relates to this. I think, though, culturally, what people cannot wrap their heads around and what seems to them to be an anomaly, even in terms of conceptualizing, is the idea of using these two words, child and mother, and using them in the same. It just doesn't go with our ideas of what is a mother and as opposed to what is a child. And I think this is where people struggle with this thing. And that's why they think of a child as being a child as separate from a mother, even though that mother is of a child age. Then suddenly you forget about age and you think about a mother, and a mother in its connotation and a child. These two don't go hand in hand. And I think that is what the problem is.
Okay. Reece, let's take some Facebook comments. I know we've been having some, and then we go back to the telephone. Mm-hmm.
Yes, so we have Carl Thompson. He's saying we are conditioned by religion and the Bible to treat women, did I read that? As second class. Hence the reason to cause a woman to suffer the consequences of a pregnancy, when in most cases it was initiated by a male. I think I had read that.
Yeah, I think we took that one, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Right, so Cynthia was saying that's exactly what I meant. The peers are the ones who will have a lot to say. Good that it was accepted, that I guess made all the difference. Hannah is saying, this caller making some serious points. Jose is saying good night. I think our children deserve a second chance, and not because they may be pregnant, make them a woman. They are still children raising children. Hannah is saying correct is right. Every child has a right to education, and that's according to UNICEF. Maria is saying wonderful contribution by the last caller. Onesco again, my daughter got pregnant on her last year to graduate high school. I was upset but supported her, and although she had a very rough time, she got up every day, never missed a class, and graduated with honors as a top student in her class, and gave me my first grandchild, which I love to death. We also have Jose saying, Renata needs to get with the program of Second Chance, and I am happy to hear a scholar said that McDonald College took a bold step not to leave that child behind. And again, Maria is saying there is a particular school in my area where parents refuse to send their girls because in a previous era, there were a few young girls who became pregnant while in that school. We have Tonya Matthews started saying big men in society have a part to play in some of the young girls' lives, and it's always a hush-hush situation. That's it for the platforms right now.
All right. Someone says here, let me just take it. Good night, Godfrey. I got pregnant through WIP. I was so ashamed when I had to go to antenatal clinic. I go through bush because I had to pass in front of the primary school and secondary school. The nurse shamed me until I made the baby. The villagers told mom to throw me out. It was real rough some 50 years ago. The young girls have it good now, and I had to find my own way to get my dreams. I am now a retired nurse, and I counsel every young school-age girl I come in contact with. Someone is saying the lady who just called missed the point the previous gentleman was making. Good night, Godfrey and your panel. On the issue, I believe that pregnant girls should be separated from other children in the class. But, and I think they mean here, should not be treated with scorn. Remember, no child should be denied the right to the education, but a special institution must be made available to avoid the possible decay of the other girls. Thank you. The decay of the other girls. Right.
Wow.
Someone is saying here, in Bible period, it was accepted that once you saw your first period, you were of childbearing age. Mary was an average of 16 years old with Jesus. Amen. All right. Doc, you haven't said anything in a while.
I haven't, because I keep on trying to soak in all the information that coming in, and I don't know now. I actually particularly was taken in one by my colleague from Paraclete that gave this the lengthy explanation there. But something keep on juggling in my mind. The role of society is really is twofold. You want to protect the children. And you cannot use another example like somebody getting pregnant with a natural cause. But also, I believe the role of society is to prevent as much as possible young persons and as one of the callers said, young girls from getting pregnant at an early age. The reason why you want to do that, because sometimes the early age pregnancy tend to stifle, slow down the growth and development of that individual. So you wish that somebody would reach in a situation where they have a comfortable lifestyle, reach a level where they are mature enough, they can select enough, they can make conscious decision and get their partner and then decide on the family structure that they want to have. So you reach an age where probably you might try a job, you might go to a few parties here or there, and then you reach a point where you say, okay, you would go with A, you would go with B, you want one child, you want two children. I think the role of society is really to reach that point. So how do you try to enforce that? And then on the other hand, again, the young girl that is pregnant in school, you need to embrace totally. So what you're saying to the young, maybe what you say to the young students, the young girls, that it is okay. If the whole school embrace that child, I'm not saying you have to discriminate, I'm just pushing all those thoughts, that it means that it is okay for them, and the young ones coming up saying, okay, well, Joan had such a, Joan also embraced, and everybody reach out and give Joan that kind of support. So it's okay if I am pregnant too. So I'm saying there is a kind of dichotomy, there is a kind of contradiction, because society wants everybody to be in a position where you make that kind of conscious decision. It didn't just happen to you. So how do you send a message that you shouldn't let that accident or that incident or that situation happen to you at that age when you're not totally ready? Remember, most of the children, they have not made a day job. They have not gone in Carriacou. In Situ Maroon Festival. They have not gone to a March Gras to see Scala probably. How then they didn't get that kind of opportunity. And I think you want as much as possible for people to be able to be in a solid situation where when they get pregnant, that is a conscious and deliberate decision to have a family. So I don't know how we balance it.
But Livingston, I'll tell you this, Let me just say this. I'll tell you this, Livingston, and I understand what you say. Scholar coming to you. But do you know that whether adulthood or children or married, most times when people or women get pregnant, it is not a conscious decision.
It's unplanned, most times.
Most times. Yes. And I'll tell you something. When it happens, then I guess the people who are married and when you're an adult, it's easier, you accept it, and you're probably in a better position to condition yourself and go with it. But generally, it is not planned.
It's not planned, but subconsciously you're almost ready. Psychologically, you're at a stage where if it happens, you're okay with it.
I am not even sure about that. I could guarantee you.
Listen,
I could guarantee you.
Godfrey,
Anytime somebody hear, whether you adult or not, anytime you hear pregnant, there's a fear that comes over you. And it comes, and after a while, it just disappears.
Ask Carla. Ask Carla Godfrey. The first time when Carla heard that you were going to have his first child, he jumped for joy. So he didn't say, okay, tonight. He didn't say tonight, planning that. But when he heard, and that happens a lot, you jump for joy because subconsciously, psychologically.
Maybe it's easier. Let me tell you. Maybe with men, the fear is not as great, but I am almost certain anytime a woman is pregnant, she just get freed. And then she comes to terms with it.
Even in my old age, if I was to even hear that,
well, you should receive, I mean, that is the command, man.
I remember when I was having Nala and I had to tell my mother, right? And I was how old? 34? And I was like, how am I doing that? And like you're panicking about what you're gonna do. This is like a long-term thing, a lifetime thing. You go and Godfrey, you are right. You go through that all the time. But I want to say something. The real pandemic here is not really the pregnancy. The real pandemic is how they get pregnant. And as a caller alluded to, it is usually something that is worth going to the court for, right? And it doesn't happen. Instead, what happens is that the young lady feels the brunt of it. And that is a culture that needs to change. We need to deal with these things, and we need to make sure that these young ladies are able to pick up the pieces, and at best, we need to give them good treatment, not what we're doing right now, special place for them, and all these kinds of things. No. And I would call the schools now, Scholar, Papil Secondary School and St. Rose Modern Secondary School.
Wow.
But Guav must be in it.
Guav Secondary?
Yes. I need somebody who they should have called in to talk about the convent. When it was St. Rose Convent, what used to happen where the nuns were concerned and girls who became pregnant?
Well, Reece, I'm glad you're raising all of this because we have, that's all the time we have. We have to stop here, which means that we have to continue this discussion next Friday. So to all our listeners or viewers, we continue the conversation next week. There is so much to talk about as it relates to this. So we're going to continue the conversation next Friday right here on We Culture. So guys, I think we've touched something really serious. From some of the callers, you can hear how passionate they feel about it. Whether nay or yay, that passion is there. And I think it's important that we continue that conversation. So just before we close, Reece, any final comments on Facebook?
Yes, I don't think I want to give any closing remarks tonight because we're continuing next week. So I'm just going to read some of the comments here. I too, Maria, was shocked when I heard that. How will the other girls get decayed? That's her question. We have Jose is saying most times parents are embarrassed because when they're involved in church, they don't think children can make mistakes and sometimes will hide them from the church members. Maria said, let us think before we put out such statements like that about, decay, causing the decay of others. Then we have Maria saying early sex education to both sexes are vital in the upbringing of the youth. Emphasis must not be placed on females only. The young men need to learn to take responsibility for their actions. And we have, I almost missed that, Joan Wellington is saying, with everything, life is not always perfect. We all want our girls to go to school and have a proper education. But I think what most people are saying when it happens to someone's society shouldn't discriminate the young girls. And that's it. So.
All right, Doc, your final comments for tonight.
I think I would take the lead from Reece. No, we will talk again next week. Everybody have a good night. Very interesting conversation to be continued.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Finley.
Yeah, I'm also closing. I don't already duck on them. And I want to close Godfrey by saying that I believe that based on how the conversation has gone tonight, I feel that go get kicked in a hurry again.
Not just kick. I feel it watermelon might spoil too. I don't feel you go want it.
That your business.
You go get a surprise.
I feel right now the way things go, Godfrey look as Godfrey might get up his buns, you know.
And I don't mind you. I don't mind you.
I don't even think that.
I don't mind that.
When you're speaking the seriously Jack, then I stand up in your neck.
Well, I want to
think is stronger than you think so.
If Renee get pregnant, well, what happening? I want to know if Renee gets pregnant, what happening?
I tell it stand up in your neck, so I know that business bad, you know. So boy, that I hope you come out from this week all in one piece. I really do. But I envisaged that this conversation would be like this, and the thing is that this has been happening for so long, as Mr. Pierre would have correctly said. This has been happening for so long, and it's so ingrained and deeply rooted in our culture that I do not believe that some legislation they will do anything. It's just a cultural thing, and it's a cultural shift that we must undergo. The comments of the callers tonight and the Facebook contributors seem to be leaning towards that kind of general thing, but I can assure you that in our population, because it is cultural, it's not easy to extricate yourself from something cultural. And so people will still bear those notions in the head that you need to either separate them or you will cause young girls to decay. Good night.
Good night. Let me just say this on the issue and of the whole legislation, and I agree it's very cultural, it's well embedded, but I think the big picture here is the protection of these young girls. And because you see, there are some aspects of culture that we need to hold on to, and mind you, there are some that we need to leave by the wayside. And I believe for the sake and the protection of these young girls, this may be something we may have to leave by the wayside. But it's a difficult one. Culture is something that you don't just pick up and throw by the wayside. So, and I think discussions like these can help in dealing with the situation. So, folks, thank you all very much. It was indeed a pleasure. I'm looking forward to next week's continuation of this subject, and of course, we're looking forward to hearing from you. So, those of you who have made the call to know what the topic will be in advance, you've got it, so you can of course do your little research, and we're looking forward to hearing from each and every one of you next Friday. Thank you very much, and do have a good night. All the best.
Raise it high up the ladder, let we set it on fire. A little more calypso, forget the funk and the disco.